The verdict for former Muncie Mayor Dennis Tyler.
We have the timeline and updates on others involved.
Changes and arrests within the Muncie Police Department.
Plus, Afghan refugees settling in Muncie, a new role here at Newslink Indiana, will bring you the latest.
It's been warm today, but a cool down is on the way. I'll tell you when you can expect those cooler temperatures to start.
Delaware County's only live television newscast from Ball State University's Unified Media Newsroom. You're watching Newslink Indiana.
Good evening. Thanks for being with us. I'm Alex Almanza.
And I'm Tara Konieczny. Former Muncie Mayor Dennis Tyler sentenced today. This after his arrest by the FBI in November of 2019.
Newslink Indiana's Annie Keister and Anna Chalker are live in Indianapolis tonight to bring us the latest.
Guys, a federal judge has sentenced former Muncie Mayor Dennis Tyler to 1 year and 1 day in prison, followed by 3 years of supervised release. This comes after Tyler admitted accepting $5,000 to steer a government contract. And I want to get back to what this all means for the former Muncie Mayor. But right now, we're joined by Newslink Indiana's Anna Chalker, who's going to walk us through exactly what this courtroom looked like today.
Yeah, Annie, this group that joined to watch today's trial featured community members, current city officials, and of course the former mayor was joined by his family. Now, Tyler formally pleaded guilty today and spoke to the court saying he felt, quote, completely helpless and that he, quote, could have said no and he wouldn't be standing before the court today. One long topic of discussion today, the acceptance of a $5,000 bribe, or what some called a, quote, tip, from former superintendent of sewer maintenance and engineering at the Muncie Sanitary District, Tracy Barton. Court documents led to the discovery of the bribe after the bid had been given for the job, explaining why some are calling it, quote, a gratuity. Other talk centered on Tyler's time in the community, including his 8 years of serving as the mayor of Muncie. The judge says he received more than 65 letters in support of the former mayor. However, the judge still calling Tyler's act a, quote, betrayal of democracy. Now, Annie, Tyler was 76 when he was arrested and is now 78.
And now Tyler has to pay $15,000 in restitution and forfeit the $5,000 bribe. The former mayor remains free for now. That's until federal authorities tell him it's time to report for prison. After his release from prison, he'll serve 3 years on supervised release. And of course, we'll continue to keep you updated as this story develops. But for now, in Indianapolis, for Anna Chalker, I'm Annie Keister, Newslink, Indiana.
Thank you, Anna and Annie. Tyler's arrest came after months of investigations. Joining us with the layout of that timeline is Newslink Indiana's Grace Benkowski.
Good evening, Alex and Tara. As we begin to learn more about former Mayor Dennis Tyler's sentencing, we're breaking down the events leading up to his arrest at his home in 2019. The investigation around Muncie's building commissioner began during May of 2016. Large payments made to private contractors, including Craig Nichols, and other suspicions led to the FBI probing into Muncie. As more agents were added to the probe in July of that year, the length of the investigation was unknown. The FBI then obtained search warrants to conduct a search that resulted in Nichols' indictment on several counts, including city money, on Valentine's Day of 2017. Raids and arrests were made, including Muncie Sanitary District official Tracy Barton on, quote, fraud-related charges in 2018. Next, Tyler announced he would not be running for re-election. Soon after, Nichols pleaded guilty and was sentenced to 2 years in federal prison. The warrants, raids, and arrests continued into 2019. The Muncie Sanitary District office was raided, resulting in the arrest of the district administrator. Tyler was arrested by FBI agents on November 18, 2019. He was indicted for theft of public funds and accepting a bribe of $5,000 in relations to contracts. Now, the city of Muncie and its current mayoral administration have made transparency a promise.
I think the public was definitely wanting a change, and we worked hard to try and follow through with those changes.
From the beginning of his campaign, Ridenour knew the importance of having an honest and open government. As mayor-elect, Ridenour proposed Ordinance 3-20, in addition to the state law for department purchases over $150,000.
I wanted to put in something that would restrict and slow down the process for less than $150,000. And so I did that. I filed it while I was on the council, and it was read the first month that I was mayor and got approved 9-0.
Ridenour has also fulfilled promises to hold monthly public forums, make agendas easily available to citizens, fill new positions on the administration, and additional training to ensure clarity for Muncie residents.
We've tried to do those things to help us as a city organization to be transparent, but also put in some steps and procedures that don't allow things to get out of control.
For those who have seen the transition of power, the priority of transparency has been noted.
The City of Muncie has really tried to make all areas of city government more available online.
Kinsella said he used to struggle to find public information on city sites, but under the new administration, that has not been the case. Kinsella wants Muncie citizens to use this knowledge to their advantage.
I would strongly encourage people to look that up and utilize this new availability of information if they have questions or concerns about the city.
Kinsella hopes citizens learn more online and take part in local government forums made available by Ridenhour and his administration for the City of Muncie.
Thank you so much, Grace. Investigations into the city also uncovered other issues.
Newslink Indiana's Emily Harless is joining us with a recap of the charges brought against 4 Muncie police officers and what new initiatives have been made. Emily?
Alex and Tara, according to court documents, officers Joseph Winkle, Jeremy Gibson, and Corey Posey and Sergeant Joseph Kreja were federally indicted in April of this year for alleged excessive force and their attempts to cover it up. Just under 2 years since the investigation began, the city's current administration is trying to prevent any further incidents through new protocols. When Newslink Indiana asked Mayor Dan Ridenhour to elaborate on the changes specifically to the policies on use of force, he said he is proud of them.
We updated it in 2020, my first year, and I would have to say that I can't read to you off the top of my head exactly what it says, but there are situations where you're going to need to use force, but we updated that, and it was reviewed by the citizens group that have had an interest in that. And we reviewed it again in 2021 and no changes were made. So I think that they've been pleased and I think we've been pleased.
The U.S. Department of Justice says the officers are facing 17 counts of excessive force and obstruction in the indictment. What that means specifically is that Winkle is charged with 5 counts of taking away the rights of arrestees and 6 counts of writing false reports. Gibson is charged with 2 counts of depriving rights and 1 count of writing a false report. Posey faces 1 count and Kreja is charged with 2 counts of writing a false report. Many of those false reports were related to some of Winkle's excessive force incidents. Now, the maximum penalty for the deprivation of rights is 10 years and 20 years for writing false reports. The officer's trial is set for January next year. I did reach out to the department's local union, the Fraternal Order of Police. They responded with, quote, "We have no comment." I also tried to get in contact with current Police Chief Nathan Sloan and the 4 indicted officers. I attempted to contact them through both phone and email from Wednesday of last week until Monday evening and received no response. Alex and Tara.
Thank you, Emily. Now, Alex, transitioning into weather, we're still seeing those 60-degree temperatures, but I'm wondering when it's going to start cooling off.
We might get that cool down tonight, but with us in the studio is Newslink Indiana's Lexi Esterly. How's it going to look tonight?
Well, Alex and Tara, we're not going to see that cool down start quite tonight. It has been pretty warm today, a high of 66 degrees here in Muncie, and those warm temperatures are sticking around through the evening. You can expect to see temperatures around the 50-degree mark, 54 at 10 p.m., dropping to 51 by 2 a.m. But the real story is those winds that are starting to pick up throughout the evening. You can see 22 miles per hour coming from the south-southeast at 2 a.m., and we're tracking a rainy forecast for tomorrow on Veterans Day, as well as cool temperatures ahead and the first chance of snow. I'll time all of that out in my full forecast.
Thank you. And up next, a new role giving you the latest on the refugee resettlement right here in Muncie.
Plus, your national headlines in moments.
Tonight, Newslink Indiana is excited to launch a brand new feature for our newscasts.
That's the role of a multicultural reporter. In alignment with Ball State University's diversity and inclusion statement, Newslink Indiana aspires to attract and retain a diverse faculty and staff. We are committed to ensuring that all members of the community are welcome through valuing the various experiences and worldviews represented at Ball State and among those we serve. With this role, we intend to ensure that these values are represented by intentional and inclusive coverage.
And with that being said, we want to bring you the first story covered under this new role. In August, the Taliban took over Afghanistan for the first time since 2001. This left many Afghans in fear for education, women's rights, and overall safety.
Rebecca Rosado joins us live in the studio to tell us more.
Thank you so much, you guys. It has been over 2 months since I last sat down with the founder of Awaken, Bibi Bahrami, and since then, the crisis in Afghanistan has not only grown, but is now affecting Afghans here in Indiana. Over 6,000 refugees are at Camp Otterbury in Indianapolis, and organizations in Muncie want to help. As of right now, the Muncie Afghan Refugee Resettlement Committee, also known as MARC, has committed to take in roughly 50 refugees and families. I sat down with Bahrami again to get a glimpse into what this process looks like. 7,031 miles. That's the distance from Afghanistan to Muncie. That's how many miles refugees have traveled to escape the Taliban.
There are people all over the Middle East, but specifically Afghanistan, that are in dire needs. A lot of them have been able to make it this far, at least to the United States, but got here with nothing.
Since 2001, Awaken has helped those in Afghanistan, but this year the organization created MARC to help those in our backyard.
MARC is a coalition of private entities looking to help facilitate the relocation and resettlement of refugees from Camp Atterbury and military installations across the country to here in Muncie, Indiana.
Refugee families will get help learning to do things Americans sometimes take for granted, like filing taxes, job searching, and English as a first language.
We have a subcommittee set aside specifically to talk with employers in Muncie to say, hey, you have openings. What kinds of people are you looking for?
Now, with emerging into a new life and country, it's hard not to miss home. But that's why Bahrami says she is here to help.
We want to welcome them with hot Afghan food. I made arrangement, my sister and sister-in-law, they cook hot, complete meals for them that they've been missing it for many months.
Bahrami plans to continue to welcome these families any way she can. And for the refugees' children, a Muncie corporation is doing the same.
We learned that we were going to welcome our first Afghan family, and so we set up registration at our central office so that we had dad, all 7 brothers, and then the family that is sponsoring them came in, and we wanted to make that as seamless as possible.
Muncie Community Schools has a plan to welcome other children as they arrive.
We have our system ready, and we can, we're very fluid, and we can swiftly be prepared to welcome the next family.
While MARC is ensuring that refugees are receiving proper care and education, Awaken has been able to now do the same back in Afghanistan.
It was such a desperate situation. Over 20 years I was working on this and education for the girls, and all these girls were so excited and looking forward to their future and better life, and suddenly we just got hopeless. But there's still some hope. I always tell them, don't give up. We have some hope for better tomorrow.
Although that the resettlement process has begun, the work is not over yet. MARC relies on donations and supplies, and all the donations will go directly to supporting refugees for the first 6 months of resettlement.
Thank you so much, Rebecca. And for more information on Awaken and MARC, you can visit their website at awaken.org.
And of course, News Link Indiana will continue to follow the story as it develops. And now moving nationally, Kyle Rittenhouse took the stand during his homicide trial in Wisconsin today. The 18-year-old sworn in as the defense resumes its case. Rittenhouse broke down on the stand as he was questioned about the night of the shooting. He says he, quote, didn't do anything wrong. During protests following the police shooting of Jacob Blake, Rittenhouse traveled from Illinois to Kenosha, shooting and killing Joseph Rosenbaum and Anthony Huber. He pled not guilty to 6 charges.
American wallets feeling the pressure during the highest inflation rate in 30 years. Prices rose 6.2% in October and 0.9% from September to October, the highest monthly increase since June. Increasing prices creating problems for food, gas, and housing consumers in the Biden administration and Federal Reserve as they consider how fast to stop their initiative to boost the economy.
And now turning things to weather, we might need to bring out our umbrella in the next couple days.
Yeah, I'm not looking forward to that. Lexi, what can you tell us about that rain?
You might need that umbrella. We've been seeing above average temperatures, but it's not going to last. I'll give you all the details after the break.